Okay. Well, what was everyone's thoughts?
I think the importance of I never realized that social media was something so impactful in obtaining a job. Obviously, like within our generation, there comes like a lot of memes that we share, especially with work related stuff. So I think building on the platform of being professional and maintaining your profile private is very important. And I found that really helpful to know.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like very different, kind of as social media is growing. It's now like another aspect that you have to think about. And I feel like when we were younger, we didn't really think much about like our digital footprint that we're making now, that we're like trying to get jobs. It's like you got to be careful with things that are out there because they will check and they have ways of tracing things back to you. And like just in general, social media, like, when people get famous and then
Mm.
come out and like expose them for something they did when they were like 14 on social media, or just, I don't know. You really have to be careful about that just in general, not just when it comes to finding a job, but in life.
Yeah.
Mine's a little bit separate, but in chapter 15 talking about like graduate schools for psychology, um I feel like it's like a given, I guess, sometimes when you're in psych that you have to go to grad school for like counseling or anything else you want to do. But I also found it interesting that the book was asking you to really just like carefully consider your reasons for attending grad school and like figure out what your motivation is. And they're saying like don't just go just to go, like you need to be able to have something that will like help you like get through those years of grad school because it's going to be a lot of work and a lot of time and effort. And usually, I don't know, it's very like just strenuous with like just like academic stuff. So I found that like as a good reminder because my mentality like was, oh, like I have to go because I can't do anything. I mean, I can do things, but like what I want to do, I have to go to grad school for, so I don't have like a choice. But I don't think that would sustain me very well. So it's kind of helped me like to really double check my expectations and kind of like motivations behind everything.
Yeah, that's really important. I feel like it's so pushed on psych majors. Like, okay, you have to go to grad school because most careers in psych, like, it's important to have a master's if you want to do like the higher level careers in psych. And like, it's not like business where you can kind of just like straight out of grad. Like, it's just more difficult to get a specialized job with just a bachelor's degree. So I feel like a lot of psych majors feel a lot of pressure to just immediately go to grad school just because like that's the next step. And I think that's really interesting too, to kind of like take a step back and look at what the real intention is, and like make sure that you're certain that that's what you want to do and you know what your path is before you invest all the time and money into that.
I think my chapter 14 was like it talked about like careers you can have in grad school. And I think it kind of like that leads into that. Like careers in grad school, like with a doctorate level was very, I guess, more limited than you would think. Like kind of like what we're saying, how you think you get a psych degree, you need to go like straight to the next level. But like in to when you get a doctorate, the job offers were like mostly research oriented or like to become a professor. And I think, yeah, it's the same thing. Like maybe a master's, lower level, or even just a bachelor's. Like there's so many other opportunities outside of just the next levels up. But yeah.
I found it really interesting, all of the different responsibilities that professors have too.
Mm.
Like, I
Yeah.
was not aware, like what he was talking about in class and stuff. Like, I was not aware that it was that time consuming. Um, and like, it is good that you have kind of like the freedom to be your own boss. But I was kind of like partially thinking about maybe being a professor if I wanted to keep pursuing higher education. But like, honestly, after hearing Dr. Butterfield talk about it, I'm like, I'm good. Like that seems like a lot of pressure. The fact that he has to like they do the check-ins and everything, making sure that he's been publishing research papers and that I don't know, for me, like that just stresses me out to even think about it.
I honestly thought it was just doing PowerPoints, grading, and call it a day, but no. No.
I
Long-
always was like, I don't understand why professors have TAs. Like, why can't they just grade it themselves? But now, like, I get it.
Especially with him having two now. It's just like, wow.
He's probably got another 150 word paper to write or 150 page paper. That was crazy.
How often does he have to do that? Do you know?
No, I don't think he has to do that often. I think they just had him do it that one time for, can't even remember what it was for, but that I was like, wow, I'm like stressed out right now about a 10-page paper that I have to write for my capstone class. And I'm like, that kind of puts it into perspective for you a little bit.
I guess I'm curious to ask you guys, like, are you planning on going to grad school? If so, for what? Or if not, like, what would you do instead? I don't know, I'm just like curious to hear like the different paths you guys are wanting to take or interested in taking. Or if you don't know, that's okay.
Um, I'll start. I have gone back and forth about it so often that like I felt a lot of that pressure to because I'm a senior now. I'm taking this class a little later than you normally would, but I felt a lot of pressure to immediately like apply for grad schools. Like it's the springtime and everyone around me is like applying for grad schools and I'm like, oh, I'm behind, like what's wrong? And then I kind of sat down and thought about it and I was like, if I'm like unsure, then I shouldn't be doing it. Like so I'm taking a gap year. That's my kind of tentative plan right now. Just to kind of, I have a job back home. It's not like great. And it's not what I want to do for the rest of my life, but I feel like I want to work for a year and save money so I'm able to kind of get my own place and then be able to decide from there. So I'm kind of just taking like a little break to figure myself out a little bit because I think like coming straight out of high school into college that it was the same type of pressure where it's like after high school you have to go to college. And basically, at least that's how I was raised, was like you're just going to go to college. That's the only option. And I came into college having no idea what I even was interested in. Like I changed my major from elementary education to psychology my sophomore year. And so, and like I found that like going into college being so unsure was kind of like detrimental to me in a way. And so I'm like, I don't want to do that again with grad school. Like I want to really make sure that I know.
I think I felt the same way. Like after high school, my parents were like, you're pretty much going to college, but I was really unsure too. But my current plan is I want to do medical school. And when I was coming into college, I was like, like that's a really high field. So I wasn't entirely certain. So I knew I loved psychology. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna be a psych major and do my pre-meds on the side. Like I'm not gonna go in as a straight bio major. And I think for me that was really it's been really beneficial because I've like learned that I really do love psychology. And then like this year taking more harder pre-med classes and like really locking in, I'm like, okay, I do really want to do this. But then I'm more like instead of like I've learned that I really like psychiatry and I'm really interested in that. So instead of like it's been like a balance of like doing what I'm really interested in and also like what I was unsure about and seeing like testing the waters and then eventually figuring it out. And then I've like pretty much determined that I am taking a gap year before med school because I think that would like really I don't really believe in rushing into things a lot. I definitely believe in working towards things, but definitely not just jumping right in because yeah, I don't think like if I jumped right into biology major, I would have found that maybe I wasn't super interested in everything bio has to offer, but instead more of the medical side, which is what I definitely found. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's really important to take time. And we're like so young too. So there's a lot of pressure, but there's also so many years ahead of us that like, yeah, as long as we're like in the right direction.
So true.
Pretty much what I want to do. I have a year left at Point Loma, so almost gonna be a senior next semester, but pretty much I'm thinking about taking a gap year too and just focus on myself for a bit and work in order to get into grad school. Um, a career path that I want to be or something like that would be a therapist. So I know that's something I'm really set into. I think I'm just gonna do the MSW. I'm not really like super into getting my doctorate degree, all that stuff. So yeah, that's my plan.
That's so cool. Yeah. I also agree with you guys. I kind of think I want to take like a gap year. Like I also kind of like you, Morgan, I switched my major like in my sophomore year. I used to be applied health and I thought I wanted to like PT and like go into all of that. And then I kind of had like a whole like 180 realization. I was like, no, like I don't want to do that. And it's just been like a whole process of trying to learn like what do I really want to do with my life now, and like I don't know, I felt all this pressure. I mean, I'm only a junior, so I still have a year left, but I still like have felt all this pressure like from my parents and all of that to like go straight to grad school because it's been like, high school, college, grad school, all that. But I feel like I don't want to go into grad school and not know what I want to do because then that would just like I feel like be a waste of money and time. Because I also want to know like my motivations, I think, and so I think it'd be important to like take time to figure that out. So I'm playing around with the idea of like speech language pathology or being like a marriage and family therapist, but I also am not entirely certain. So I feel like just a year would give me time to like figure that all out and apply. And I'm also thinking about maybe doing like a MSW because it sounds like a pretty good program, but it also sounds long and I don't want to do like 3+ years at school. So I don't know.
Well, we all have time to figure it out. It's a good thing. And it's good that we're thinking about it, and being
Mhm.
thoughtful and intentional. But it's nice that we're all kind of on the same page.
Mm. Definitely a lot like less alone, I guess. I kind of felt comforted knowing that you guys are in the same page too, because I feel like everyone I talk to like knows what they want to do with their lives, and I'm like, ah. So,
Yeah. No, I trust me, it's everyone around me. Like you would think as a senior that I feel like you have this perception that everyone has it all figured out and like, but basically every single person around me as a senior, people my age about to graduate have no idea what they're doing. So in a way that's yeah, it's scary. Like it doesn't really get better, but also it's comforting because you're not alone in that. And it like I think that's so normal. Like we're so young and I don't know. No pressure for anyone. Trust me. Look at me. Scared. I'm doing it. I'm scared, but it's gonna be okay.
You got this. We all got this.
Guys.
Oh my gosh.
But at least we all can agree that we found something that we love and that we're passionate about. I think that's what's so important. Um, and I think everything else, like just kind of chasing that, I think everything else will figure it out, you know. But yeah, I don't have anything else to add. Does anyone else? I'm gonna go ahead and stop.